considered the weird ones, mostly because we are. We have all these quirky little routines, and a lot of goalies are very superstitious. And I think it was an interview with Holtby I saw the other day, and he talked about how he wears his helmet around the room before games. I thought that was pretty quirky, and that's just kind of how we are. If you ever go to a goalie camp, you can see it. It's there's a lot of weird characters, but there's never a dull moment.
Some challenges that a goaltender faces, and I'm facing this year, is playing time. First year in the league, it's hard to get starts, it's hard to get in there, but you always got to be prepared and be ready for when you get the nod from your coach, and that's all you can really do is control what you can control, and just when you get in there, show them what you can do.
As a young goaltender, the hardest person is yourself on your own game, and a lot of times those own voices, all they'll do is hinder you. I just keep repeating keywords over and over throughout a game, to the point where it's almost like I'm a robot mentally. I just keep telling myself, play with confidence, play with pride, and play with determination, and I just try and reinstill those 3 key points, and it's what's helped me, I think, have success this year.
Goaltending is the jaw-dropping save. It's the flashy equipment and slick paint job. It's an up and down mental battle that never ends. All eyes are on you. You are the last line of defense and the difference between a lengthy playoff run or an early exit.
Well, I guess this is a key statement. I think at any level you play, you have to have a good goaltender to win. Obviously, and it's built around your team philosophy. If you're a defensive system, or if you're going to play a run and gun style, your goaltender has to be very good, because obviously it's a 60-minute game, and there's a lot of momentum changes in the game, and your goaltender is your last defense. So if he's hot, if he's good, obviously he's going to give you a chance to win every night.
Look at every team that has success and every team that wins. It is the teams that, and they always talk about teams that play good defense, right? But it's always the goaltender who is the last line of defense that gives you an opportunity. And if you're fortunate enough that you have real solid goaltending, it masks a lot of inaccuracies in your game.
It's absolutely the most important position in the game. I think that sometimes when you have good goaltending, there's a tendency to take that for granted and just expect that. And when it's gone, you realize how much you miss it, how important it is. When you have good goaltending, the penalty kill gets better, the D-zone coverage gets better. I think the players just play the game with more confidence. And I think that's probably the number one thing that a good goaltender does, is gives the team confidence. And when you play with confidence, you're just that much better.
The modern-day goaltender has evolved. No longer is it a position solely dependent on reflexes and quickness. Now, the best goaltenders depend on fundamental technique and strong positional play.
The last, let's say, 30, 35 years, 25 years, however you want to put it, the position has gone through a big change. Now there's structure in the game that wasn't there in the 70s, early 80s. Goaltenders are, from different reasons, equipment, athleticism, size of the goalies. Now the goaltenders play the butterfly style. I think it's a worldwide thing now. It started in the 80s in Quebec, and now it's spread all over the world.
It's a position that allows you the opportunity to really have an impact in the outcome of the game, and I think it's one that requires true athleticism to be successful, and it's come a long ways, obviously, over the years. I think goalies have become much more specific as far as their training's gone. The training's come so far, the science behind it, and a lot of the different things that the goalies are trained on now has allowed them to kind of elevate to a point where it puts a lot of pressure on the shooters to beat them.
Goaltenders rely on positioning a lot more than instincts before as well. And now the evolution has now with in 2013 now we get goalies that have structure, and the classicism is back as far as being able to react quickly, to be aggressive and tight and things like that. So it's been a ever evolving process since for sure the mid 80s right up to today.
Every young hockey player is intrigued by the goaltending position. But career goaltenders are a special breed, and players who go on to find success in the Western Hockey League know at a young age that the position is right for them.
I actually didn't start till I was about 10 years old. I moved over from Vancouver Island to the mainland and finally convinced my parents to put me into hockey, and I kind of went straight into net, and you know, I'd jump out on the ice, I could barely skate, and I'd come off the ice and ask my dad if I was ready to play in the NHL, and he'd obviously agree, but no, I was always the goalie, you know, playing road hockey growing up, so I decided to try it, and luckily I learned pretty quick.
Basically why I play the game is because I love seeing the expression on a guy's face when I absolutely rob him. In my first year hockey, I played novice Division III as a forward, and I wasn't very good. You know, I think I put up 7 goals all year, but at that time we rotated the goalie on my team, and every time I would get in there, I really enjoyed, and I was interested in learning the position, as were my parents. So they pushed me to kind of be that guy, and went to Westerns with my Bantam team and ended up getting selected by Chilliwack and now Victoria in the draft, and here I am today in Victoria playing in the Western Hockey League.
Got my chance as a goaltender, and it was novice to only way to play on a travel team was if I was a backup goalie, if you could believe it. At the time we had backup, so worked a lot, like always goaltending one-on-one stuff with World Pro Goaltending there in Calgary. Actually with JF Martel, who's our goalie coach here, and did a lot of stuff kind of every weekend. The days our rep team didn't practice, and so it was more of an extra commitment, especially for the parents financially. But it was something I loved to do, and had a good relationship with those guys that took off now working with them here.
The biggest hurdle a goaltender faces is himself. Self-doubt, the fear of failing, being injured. Just a few of many psychological challenges of the position. Laurent Brossoit and Cam Lanigan are both veteran goaltenders who, along with being technically proficient, have both embraced the stress and pressure that comes with being the go-to guy.
With goaltending comes pressure, obviously, and I don't think I've figured out how to deal with it personally, and I don't think anyone really does, and it's just kind of a part of the game, and with pressure comes adrenaline, right, and motivation and all that, and you know, going through the playoffs last year, I just figured that, you know, with the pressure, I was excited and I wanted to play the games, and it kind of just fell by the wayside.
I've finally settled into a pretty strict routine that I've kind of learned what works and what doesn't work in the last 5 years. But superstitions, I don't get dressed left to right or none of that. The only thing, I try not to talk too much on game day other than what I need to. I'm usually pretty quiet and focused, and I found that's helped me get into the zone, but I don't tap no lucky piece of wood or anything like that, or got no horseshoe in my bag. I try and just stick to the routine and trust in that.
For me, I've learned so much being here with the Oil Kings. My first year, I faced a lot of adversity, and but I feel like I've taken some huge strides in my mental game, and I've just focused on the puck, and that's it, and totally blocked out everything else, and that's pretty much what you have to do. You can't really, like I said, focus on everything else, or else you're just going to end up being a head case.
As a young guy, it can be kind of stressful at times. You don't really have an identity to your game, and you're trying to, match up against some of the best players in the league. The hardest person is yourself on your own game, and a lot of times those own voices, all it do is hinder you. So the ability to push those aside, and like for me, it works keywords. I just keep repeating keywords over and over throughout a game. Mentally, I just keep telling myself, play with confidence, play with pride, and play with determination, and I just basically repeat that over and over again. Anytime you get any thoughts of doubt or a goal scored, I just try and reinstill those 3 key points, and it's what's helped me, I think, have success this year.
One of the most mentally challenging roles in hockey is that of the backup goaltender. Watching the game from the bench is difficult to do. If you're a competitive athlete, there is no place you would rather be than on the ice in the heat of competition. First-year Victoria Royals goaltender Coleman Volrath is currently in a backup role, but is learning from his experience and hopes to make the most of his opportunity when it comes.
When I'm on the bench, I just like to stay prepared because you don't know what events are going to occur in the game. Like Patrick could get injured or something like that, or the game could not be going the way that the coach wants. So he can put me in to try to get a change of momentum or something like that. So I'm just always trying to be ready on the bench and supporting my teammates.
Being a goaltender, the hardest thing is the mental game. You always start out as a backup, and it takes a huge hit on your mental game, considering it can be frustrating not playing all the time and going in feeling cold during the games that you are playing. But the biggest thing is to pass through that and be able to just focus on your game and not all the distractions and frustrations that come along with it.
Coleman is a very committed, very dedicated athlete, and he wants to be in the net. He competes, he wants to push, and he really pays attention to details. He's a student of the game, and moving forward, he's given us opportunities to win games, and he's done an extremely good job of coming in when he's needed to off the bench.
In the first half of the season here, my role was kind of be ready for when I get the nod type thing, but in the second half here, I definitely want to push to be the guy because that's a goal of mine, and I also want to hopefully get selected in the NHL draft, if not this year, then next year as well, and I think playing time's a big part of that. So once I get into the net, I got to stick with it, and me and Dave have talked about that, and he wants me to definitely push for the starting job here and be competitive every day in practice and push Patrick and my teammates.
Equipment has played a significant role in goaltending evolution. Pads are lighter, bigger, and allow goaltenders to move faster and cover more net. Every goalie, young and old, vividly remembers their first pair of pads. Equipment not only protects players from injury, it's how a goalie brands himself and creates an identity.
It was probably the best day of my life when I got my first pair of new pads. I always had to get used ones from the community store, and I think my first ones were an old black, red, and yellow Heaton, and so my first new set were Cohos, and that was the best day of my childhood for sure. With gear, we're lucky enough in the Western Hockey League where they'll cover everything, and so the beauty of coming to a new team is you get new gear as well, and you kind of get new colors and a new look, so that's always fun.
For me, I only got the one strap. I feel having like 2 or 3, they're useless. I never even put them on very tight. I kept this part of the Nero white, or the side bar.
Are you showing on my neck?
I haven't seen anyone else do that. I don't know, just little things, kept these fun. I got the side here leather, so it doesn't get, when it gets old and looks yellow and old and awful. So just style points, really. We're pretty spoiled, me and Jari here. Rogan does a really good job of making sure we get the necessary equipment that we need, and I'm fortunate enough to sign a contract with Vaughn so I can kind of tweak all the things that I would like to. When it comes to gear, I'm pretty picky, and I kind of set myself up with some pretty unique gear, and I like it, and it's it goes back to the look good, feel good, play good, and that's what I think. That's what I think I've done.
Well, the first skate with new gear is always tough. I definitely think the toughest thing to break in is a new chest protector, because your shoulders are so big at the start you can't look over them. But my gear's broken in nicely since you guys saw me last at World Pro, and I definitely think that Vaughn makes a great product, and it's what I've been wearing for most of my life, and it's good to get back into Vaughn pads. It feels like home for me. So my parents in Pee Wee, they told me that if I make the WHL one day, they'll get me a painted mask, so that's why I'm still wearing my black one, because I'm getting a mask painted for myself right now, which is pretty awesome.
During the late 70s, as the goalie mask was planting roots in professional hockey, players began using it as a way to express themselves. Fast forward 40 years, and the goalie mask today is as much a blank canvas as protective headwear. It has become a definitive, creative outlet where goalies can customize ideas that reveal their personality and interests.
Right now, it's kind of an exciting time. I'm talking with the artist David Arrigo out there out east, he's I think one of the best painters right now. He does Price's Mask, Mike Smith. I think he's just a phenomenal artist, and me and both Merrick are in the process of kind of drawing up our masks and getting ideas going.
I'm really happy with them. I think they look good. They match my gear well, but the biggest part of my mask that is closest to me is the back plate. It's got that coat on there. It's from my dad. My dad struggles with multiple sclerosis, and he's fighting, and I just have that on my back plate to make sure that he knows he's always on the back of my mind.
We're going to start this just a little bit differently. There's supposed to be a pass down here, but just with Hammy and I, we'll both start here like so. This guy's going to come over the top.
As a goaltender, practice time is where you develop and maintain your skill set. Laurent Brossois works with former Medicine Hat Tiger and Red Deer Rebel goaltender Dustin Schwartz. His experience playing in the league and knowledge of the position has become a valuable resource for the Oil King netminder.
Just square up, play him straight up, push that rebound right back to the front, okay? I think there's a point where you don't want to overcoach. You got to let them work through the reps, and we always talk a lot about quality versus quantity. I'd rather get in 10 quality reps than 20 that don't have any purpose to them. So we focus a lot on that. We do a lot of preparation work with our video and stuff like that, after games, after practices, to make sure that when we are out there, we're identifying the things that are going on the ice and being able to transfer that to the video. It's such a good teaching tool, and I think, the majority of goaltenders nowadays at the elite levels make use of it.
I take pride in my practices. To be honest, I work my bag off, and I feel like I don't want to waste any time, and I always want to improve, and I want to get to where I want to be in the next 5 years. And to do that, you can't just rely on your games. You make most of your improvements during practices, because obviously you do practice a lot more than you play.
Extremely athletic, very flexible, very dynamic in his movements, probably arguably one of the best skaters in the Western Hockey League. I think he's, over the course of the 2 years that I've been able to work with him, has become much more focused on simplifying things and make it a little bit easier on himself, and use the assets that he does have when needed. And he's been a real pleasure to work with, and very coachable.
We've grown into a huge relationship we have, and I really cherish it, considering I could talk about anything with him, and we can either just talk about life, or we can talk about hockey, and he's really helped me settle down my mental game, and he's been a huge supporter of me, and I just can't thank him enough.
push, push, yep. Wide, push, square. Really square on top, don't lean, just get square, that's it. Then come back here with control so you can close back in the middle. Push, square. Push, yep.
I've been coming in here since I was about 11 or 12, so about 6 years now.
Switch, Lanny, your
For
turn.
Cam Lanigan and Coleman Volrath, World Pro Goaltending School in Calgary is where they developed and continue to maintain their game. JF Martel is a head instructor at World Pro, and his knowledge for the position has quickly established him as one of Western Canada's premier goaltending instructors.
The goalies are smarter. They play a numbers game. They play a percentage game. The way we move, the way the goalies move in their crease, they move around the net. Everything is geared towards percentage. You want to take away the middle of the net. You want to take away the bottom of the net. You force the shooters to beat you with good plays, with good shots. And from there, from that structure, the goalies that show the better athleticism, that show the better will to win, well, they're able to be really successful. And those guys have really taken the position to the next level.
Players are so skilled now that the game really does come down to such fine details. If you can get a good relationship with your coach and he can understand, when you need to be pushed, where you need to work, where he needs to just let you ride with it, I think that's when you have the most success.
You want to catch your heads back right
We've
away?
had a long relationship with Cam. I mean, he was one of the first students of our school. He's a smart goalie, he understands what he has to do, and he shows complete dedication to the craft. I think that's probably a fair thing to say about Cam. He just takes what he's learned for the last 10, 12 years and bring it to the table on a daily basis at practice. Coleman, you want him on your team. Like he's passionate about the game. He's passionate about the position. His will to win is something that's higher than the average. Like he wants to win bad. He wants to be successful bad, and he just takes his athleticism and he goes out and he executes well, and that has taken him to the level he's at today.
It is nice to see the awareness of coaching now in goaltending. I think young kids are really fortunate. There seems to be a lot more knowledge. Even when I first started, I remember my first goalie coach, if you believe it or not, we're doing kick saves and all that stuff. So it's cool to see all these programs for young goaltenders now to get the coaching early on and learn that part of the game.
Stepping between the pipes on WHL ice is a privilege enjoyed by few. In goaltending, players who can find balance between fundamental skill and mental toughness find success. Laurent Brossoit and Cam Lanigan have both found success as a starting WHL goaltender. For Coleman Volrath, the sky is the limit, and when opportunity knocks, he will be ready to follow in their footsteps. Coming up on the next WHL Full On.
Minnesota is proud to select from Red Deer, the Western Hockey League, Matt Dumba.
The Toronto Maple Leafs are pleased to select from the Moose Jaw Warriors, Morgan Riley.
New York Islanders proud to select Griffin Reinhart, the Edmonton Oilers.